Hello my loves, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Hi, hello. Today I'm going to be exposing Disneyland. I'm just kidding. You guys love it when I do Disney themed videos, so today I thought I would share with you some of my favorite Disney urban legends I have found online over the years. I've told some kind of like, I guess you could say urban legends and stories about Disney and Disneyland before. If you've ever checked out my Disney conspiracy theories video, I kind of talk about like parks that have been closed, things like that. I've also talked about the fact that like Walt Disney's apartment in Disneyland, they always leave the lights on because if they turn it off, those will come on. I'll link some more Disney themed videos down below if you guys don't have your fill after this one. But I really want to share some of these urban legends and scary stories and stuff with you guys because I just think they're really interesting and entertaining. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. So this first account comes directly from someone who wrote an article on different like Disney urban legends and stuff. So it comes straight from her mouth. Her name is Alicia. I'm gonna link this down below so you guys can read it. But it's basically about how there is a dead bellhop haunting the Tower of Terror. In Disneyland, the Tower of Terror has not been torn down. It was just kind of revamped into a Guardians of the Galaxy themed ride, and I believe it is still standing in Walt Disney World. So Alicia was actually working in Walt Disney World as a cast member. I actually experienced this one myself as a former cast member for Walt Disney World while in college. At the Tower of Terror attraction, we bellhops rotated our positions throughout our shift. Wherever you ended up when the park was shut down, you were responsible for the closing duties of that section. It was always creepy walking around the gothic grounds of the ride by yourself when the haunting, tinny music was playing, but the worst was whichever poor employee was working at the Delta loading platform at the time the park closed. She added that the ride has 4 loading platforms, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and 2 drop shafts, Echo, and Foxtrot. That's so complicated. You have to like be able to remember all of that. I don't even know what I had for breakfast this morning. The person on each platform was responsible for riding through by him or herself to check that things like lighting, music, and special effects were running smoothly. Supposedly, a bellhop had a heart attack while loading people onto the ride at Platform D and died on the spot. His ghost reportedly haunts the ride now, causing all sorts of freaky, unexplained things to happen. We bellhops made a point to never let the person on Delta ride alone. They'd wait until we were all finished with our duties and then we'd ride together, or at least with one other person. Strange things happened every time. Lights would go off, leaving us in blackness. The people in the control room who could see us via video camera would swear the lights were on the entire time and nothing ever malfunctioned. The music would waver in and out, and occasionally a dark, human-shaped figure would be spotted lurking behind the machinery, but when you turned your head, it was gone. Girl, I would have quit Walt Disney World. And then she added a little video that just says, "Don't believe me, take a look." And of course the video has been removed from YouTube. I'm so depressed. Another one from the same article that Alicia wrote, I've never heard of before, and I thought was really interesting, and it's basically about this lost cartoon of Mickey Mouse in hell. If you guys are like avid creepypasta readers, which I totally am, I will like download a million of them to my iBooks before I take off on a plane and do nothing but read creepypastas. You probably know that it's very common for people to write like creepypastas about Disney or creepypastas about SpongeBob and things like that. This story is pretty graphic and I don't necessarily know that I want to tell it to you guys. I think it's always been kind of a long-standing debate whether or not this video was real, and I'm not even going to talk about it just because it's a very dark story, and unless you are looking to get seriously messed up, I would not avidly seek it out. But it's called Suicide Mouse if you want to read about it or whatever. I think that somebody kind of like recreated what they imagined it would look like on YouTube as well. Yeah, I don't even want to link to it or like anything, just because if you guys have heard about it, it's pretty messed up. Now, I've heard about this a few different times, but supposedly someone got decapitated on the Walt Disney World Space Mountain ride. And it's been like a long-standing like back and forth, did this really happen? The biggest reason you'll find a lot of these times where it's like, did someone die this way? Did they not die this way? Is Disneyland and Disney World never pronounce people dead on site. I don't think that anyone has ever technically died at Disney World. They're always taken to the hospital before they're pronounced dead so that they never have that like lingering over their head. So it's kind of like up in the air whether or not this happened, but something that did genuinely happen was on the Matterhorn ride in Disneyland back in 1964, a man stood up on the ride. This eventually did result in his death later on down the line. I've talked about this more in depth in a different video, but supposedly the Haunted Mansion ride is truly haunted. I'm gonna link my video down below, like I said, but there have been so many sightings of this little ghost boy, and this is not like something that's very uncommon, I guess you could say. People often spread their loved ones' ashes on the Haunted Mansion ride. Don't do that. It's highly, highly, highly illegal, and also just really sad. And you know, like, it must be so hard for people, and then it probably has to get shut down and totally cleaned and all of that. But they have caught, I remember a long time ago, they actually caught a woman spreading her son's ashes. I think it was on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and not on the Haunted Mansion ride. But so many people do things like this, and supposedly the ride is haunted by this little boy right here. And I talked more about this photo in a different video, but it's really, really, really creepy. I have read so many accounts that people believe that the Small World ride is haunted in both Disneyland and in Disney World, but a lot of people do say that like you'll constantly see those little dolls just moving out of the corner of your eye, that something just doesn't feel right. You always feel like you're being watched. And maybe it's that thing where like dolls creep us out so bad, I say, as I literally have Ava, my haunted doll, down here. I'm gonna make a video about her soon, which is why she's in here. But anyways, yeah, like I just think it's really funny that it is said to be like one of the most haunted rides, and I've heard people's accounts of it. It's a really, really, really creepy ride. Again, I've talked more about that in other videos, but I just think that's really funny. Can you imagine like working at one of those theme parks and your sole job is to take care of It's a Small World? Like, I don't care how badly I would ever want to work at Disney, I would leave the job that minute. So supposedly the Seance book in Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion ride, so that little Seance book, which I believe is when you see like the lady with her head floating in the air and all of that, apparently that book was originally from the 14th century and was used for real witchcraft, and then it was made into this prop. If that's true, I don't know what idiot thought that that would be a good idea, or why you just wouldn't think like, oh, let's like, you know, make a creepy little book ourselves. Disney has so much money to do that. You don't need to go thrifting and find this insanely haunted book in order to complete your ride. But apparently it is a like witchcraft book, or it was formerly a witchcraft book. And all of the workers constantly say that they'll always find it tipped over. Like they can't keep it in one spot. It makes no sense, but it ends up in the weirdest places. Eventually they had to replace it, and whether or not that one's true or just like an urban legend, I don't know, but that creeps me out so badly, why anyone would think that's a good idea. So this next one is kind of similar, I guess, but it's that at some point there were real skeletons and real bones on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, which gives me the heebie-jeebies to think about, and some people say they were never really replaced. Pirates of the Caribbean was the final ride that Walt Disney got to supervise before his death in 1967, which is terribly, terribly sad. I could go on and on and on about like the life and everything with Walt Disney, because I think he's such a fascinating human being, and like the work that he did with Disney World and Disney in general, it's just very fascinating to me. And I say that and people are, you know, they're always very quick to like discredit me and tell me what a bad person he was or whatever, but more than anything, I just think it was fascinating and it's so interesting to learn about. So it was the final ride that he wound up supervising. Supposedly the design team was very, very, very unhappy with the skeletons that were going into the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and just found them to be very, very unconvincing and just not lifelike enough. They hit up their friends at UCLA and were like, hey, listen, our props kind of suck. Can we borrow some bones? And UCLA agreed. And this is all coming from someone who worked on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, someone who's like published a book and like talked about this openly. So there were real skeletons in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride for a while, and apparently they have been replaced with better props, you know, as technology improved and things became more lifelike, they were replaced. But there are some workers who insist that those skeletons are real. Still, to this day, that there are real dead bodies on this ride that we all go on. My cat just threw a fit and wanted to be in this room so bad, and then he literally just farted on me. Okay, let's talk about some lighter things. Speaking of Pirates of the Caribbean, apparently it is haunted by a spirit named George. Now, I haven't found much to back this up, but according to one person who was on the college program, so this is Pirates of the Caribbean at Walt Disney World, and I don't know if this was something done to like scare people that were in the college program or whatever, just to, I don't know, maybe it really is haunted. Apparently, people were told if you did not start out the day with saying good morning, George, and end off your night by saying good night, George, the ride would constantly shut down and they would have problems with it all day. Whether or not that's true, that's really interesting and kind of a strange coincidence. Now, I've never heard of this urban legend, but supposedly a teenager died at Disneyland trying to swim from Tom Sawyer Island back to the main Disneyland park. And I don't believe that in Disneyland you can even go to Tom Sawyer Island anymore. Tom Sawyer's like boat or whatever has been under construction for, ow, stop biting me. It's been under construction for so long, and I don't know if they're ever planning on reopening it. But anyways, the story goes that there were two brothers and they hid out at Disney until the park's closing, which you hear a lot of stories and urban legends about, but supposedly they stayed until the park closed, and then once it closed, they swam out to Tom Sawyer Island, and then on the way back, one of the brothers drowned and they found the body the next day. I could go on and on and on and on and on about different urban legends at Disneyland or Disney World, the Disney parks in general, and like Disney urban legends in general. But I swear to you, this video would probably wind up being 40 minutes long. And there are some of you who would love that. And there are some of you who would be like, Lolo, I got things to do with my life. But if you guys like creepy and weird videos like this, if you love my Disney videos, then make sure to give this one a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you all so, so much, and I would love to have you as part of our family. I'm gonna go. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.